Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name's Ash, and here's my iPad. Check it out. I thought this was funny. Reman. Hey, this is going to be an episode for Detective Comics 989 by Robinson and Segovia. But real quick, just going to plug myself here. I did a review on Action Comics 1003. Please watch it. If you don't watch any of my videos, watch this one. Tell me what you think. I know it's a little bit long, but I really go in depth on this comic, and there's a lot of cringe. Holy shit. There's a lot I have to say about this comic. And I channel my boy Zach for a few seconds. A little bit. He's an influence on me. But anyways, yeah, please give that video a look and tell me what you think. Back to our regular scheduled program. Batman. So, here we have alternate cover. If you've been following along at all, you'll know that they did one of these covers, for Brian Hill's run. That was a sideways cover with the Batmobile. I don't know why this is obviously stock art, right? This is obviously we need an alternate cover, pull something out of our stock art bin. This should have been used in conjunction with the issue, either before or after, as a set for the art. Because since it's not related to the comic book, then put the art together as a set. I'm going to guess there's a likelihood that there's even more of these pieces. In which case, it even makes more sense to lump them all together as a set so people can collect. I don't know why they space. It seems just random to me the way they did this. But anyways. So, back to the show. Detective Comics, which is just Batman now, no Bat Family. All you Tom King haters, you have a choice. You now have 2 Batman books. How great is that? Thank you, Brian Edward Hill, for a great story and for taking the Bat Family out of Batman. So if you've been following along, this story is about Firefly. Firefly's got a little apprentice, so to speak, and they're setting fires, and it's kind of a basic story to start off with. A little mystery, Batman, just a basic murder mystery, and Batman involves himself, and Gordon is like, why don't you just let us handle this? And he's got his gut instinct. So he's sitting here talking to Alfred about the mystery, and I'm not going to go too, really in depth with this, but they're just kind of talking it out, and Alfred is just sort of used as the here's the credits, by the way. Alfred is just used as the, I guess, audience perspective, so that Batman can have a dialogue with someone and you can kind of get into his head and what he's thinking. I guess that's a good use. Modern comics hate thought balloons. I think thought balloons need to come back. I would really love to see thought balloons come back. But somewhere along the line, the hip writers decided thought balloons weren't cool. They wanted to be more like movies. Because you'll notice that too. Man, I'm really old. Movies used to have narration, voiceover. And then somewhere along the line, Hollywood was like, no, that's not cool. You can't have that. So they got rid of it. Comics have sort of followed that pattern. Not only is there no thought balloons, there's no narration, no boxy narrator saying what's going on. And there's some writers that still do use that to an extent. Usually they're more old school writers. This is a trend that can work. It's more cinematic. You only hear what characters say. It can be more immersive in some respects. But honestly, I really like this is a book. It's a comic book. It's a visual book, but it's still a book. And being able to get into a character's head is something that books do way better than movies. And movies do visuals way better than comic books, so comic books should not try to be movies. Comic books used to have the advantage of being kind of the best of both worlds. Anyways, I digress. I wish I could kind of see that, but since we're not doing that, Alfred is a necessary character for Batman to talk, so you can kind of at least get into his head a little bit. This would be the same thing if this were a movie. And today's writers, they all want to write TV and movies anyway. This is just sort of like their portfolio. This is like their audition reels, just to be like, here, look, I can write movies. It's kind of sad. Here we are at Firefly's hideout. And he's talking to Apprentice Firefly. And he's making a statement to her about, I know how it feels, don't worry. First time I lost to Batman, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, kind of wants to quit or whatever. And he makes a really neat point. Because he's talking about, she's like, oh, well, what's the point if I'm just second best? And he's like, second best? Try third. Joker, obviously. Riddler, sometimes Bane, sometimes Poison Ivy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like listing off all the major Batman villains. And basically his point is, we're second tier. We're not that, But we're something that that they're not or whatever. We lose, but when we lose, we learn. And he's talking about, Batman is the best teacher I could possibly hope for. Every time he beats me, I learn how to be better. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Taking this C-list villain and making him interesting, making him make me feel like, oh, okay, this guy might be getting a pay grade raise. So the writer makes me feel like he's not a C-list. You know what I'm saying? Who's this pud, right? And then he starts talking, and you're like, oh wait, this guy leveled up. He's getting called up to the big leagues now. So now I'm interested. Maybe he is a threat to Batman. And then, she's like, oh, and he's got a pal. And then they're talking about getting a whole army. And you're just like, oh, wow. I'm sold. So, meanwhile, Bat Signal. Vroom. Bat vehicle. Always ludicrous. The Batmobile is 9 times out of 10, it's just some ludicrous vehicle that doesn't make any sense. This thing would just be stupid. But it's comic books, and what are you going to do? Most comic book artists actually aren't good at drawing cars, except for Sean Murphy. Holy crap. That guy's amazing. So, typical, this is all typical Batman story stuff. Talking to Commissioner Gordon. Dialogue is all fine here. That he's now talking back and forth with Gordon, and you're getting into Batman's head, kind of what to solve the mystery, what's going on. The idea here that they found out that the dead guy that they thought was Firefly, his real name's Carl Twist, who's a petty villain who died before. And they're like, wait a second, why would a dead person impersonate another criminal? Now he's dead. They're not able to figure out what's going on. So that's kind of what their whole thing about here is. Let me go back to Firefly, and he's talking to his apprentice, and because Batman had before this transition, Batman says, as for the Fireflies, I've known where they are the whole time. And you're like, uh-oh, and he's, hey, what's this? Part of the Assembly? No, if I'm not mistaken, that's a tracker. Oh, so Batman tracked him. Do you know what I said about learning from defeat? Winning from defeat, of course. You were just talking about it. Well, you're about to experience it firsthand. Putting on his helmet. Dun, 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 Batman. So they get in a fight and using their fire. Batman's just talking down to him. What is it with all you lunatics that you must insist on the most obvious hideouts? Even without the tracker I placed, you were looking to get caught. And he's talking because he talks about before. He's like, a pyrotechnics factory? Really? Am I improved fire suppressant? I guess you can tell. So he's just kicking their ass because, he's Batman and he kicks ass. Now, questions and answers, and he's kind of standing there and she's like, oh shit. And, Batman's got the one up and he's just, confident because these are just the petty C-list villains. And she's like, yes, actually, you'd be surprised all that I've learned. What do you want to know? And next we get cut over to Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And they're interrogating someone, and this is kind of crazy, didn't make much sense. They're about to give him the what for. Then Batman shows up, kicking some ass. So whatever Firefly Girl had going on seems to have led Batman to here. And he's beating them up. Is this a joke? Are you trying to insult me? Or have you just stopped caring? 2 bullets, different guns, 2 Fireflies. The notion to make these 2 idiots, Tweedledee and Dum, another layer of subterfuge, hiding your involvement. And this place, Duotone Recording Press? Firefly, okay, I get it. He's Firefly, but I expect more from you. How long did you think it would take me to find you? About as long as you did, honestly. Actually, you're about a half hour ahead of my schedule if it makes you feel any better. Wear my veils and half-roofs hearted? Probably. I always assume you'll see through them, so I admit I'm not as keen to make the effort as I once was. Not wishing to insult you. I'll give you one thing. I have no idea what your motive is. Harvey. Two-Face! You know what to call me. And if you want motives, answers, ask your pal, the great Commissioner Gordon. This is all his fault. Next assault on GCPD. Alright, so that wraps up this comic, quick and dirty style. There's a preview of the new new Green Lantern, what is it called? The Green Lantern. I don't know why DC needs to just change stuff. Just let it run. But anyway, so Liam Sharp and Grant Morrison is going to please a lot of people, I think. I don't see a reason why they needed to cancel what was going on before, but whatever. Not the biggest Grant Morrison fan. He can do good stuff. We'll see. I don't know why I'm talking about Green Lantern and a Batman book. Back to Batman. This was just as good as the last issue. I very much liked it. I think the art was maybe a little less. I think I really was talking about last issue. I really liked the coloring and just the art being really crisp and so forth. So this was not necessarily a downturn, just not quite as impressive. Maybe it's just the story didn't lend to it. I don't know. I enjoyed this. This is a fine comic. This is just like the last one. There's nothing really to complain about. It's a solid Batman comic book. It's not a out of this world comic. It's not one of the greatest stories told. But if you're a comics fan, you know that on an ongoing series, it's impossible to keep up a level of greatness. The best thing a comic series can do that's ongoing is just be consistently entertaining. And this book is. It's entertaining. It doesn't feel like fluff. It doesn't bore you with nonsense. It doesn't have any groaner, cringeworthy incidents. It's straightforward superhero comics with Batman characters and villains. This is exactly what we want out of comics. So this is a move the needle for me, even though it's sort of an average. I think I'm going to modify my rating scale. I've been trying to use the star system. And for most things, I just use the 1 to 5 stars. I think it's a really great rating system. But I think when I convey that, a lot of people hear 3-star and they just think, oh, mediocre, and they just stay away. And that's not what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is give a thumbs up for books like this, and 2 thumbs up for the really good stuff. And then if I happen to run across something that is beyond that, I'll just make an extra note to praise it. So a book's either going to get a thumb up or 2 thumbs up, or a thumbs down or 2 thumbs down, so that you know the difference between good books and really good books and bad books and really bad books. I think that's more in line for kind of a review instead of trying to stamp a definitive number on it. This is a good book, but I don't want you to be deluded that it's a really good book. It's not White Knight or anything, but it's fun. And if you, like I said, if you're an ongoing book reader, that's what you really want. You just don't want to see those lulls. You know, you don't... I'm really okay with this. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to the next book. I think the storyline is well done. The arts is up to par. And this is going to give a lot of people who don't really like the Tom King style of Batman an opportunity to have something different that doesn't necessarily contradict what Tom King's doing. But this just focuses on Batman being Batman, not him being morose over his personal life and Catwoman or anything else. It's just, I'm Batman, there's villains, I'm going to get them, talking to Alfred, talking to Commissioner Gordon, trying to solve the mystery, kicking some ass. Bam. What more do you want? Solid. So thumb up, recommend, move the needle. Hope you enjoyed this. It's pretty quick for one of my reviews. If you have anything to say, as always, somewhere around there, type stuff. Let me know. I really do love seeing comments. It shows that people listen to my babbling. If you have something to say, I want to hear it. If you have something to show, plug your videos. I will go watch them. And you can follow me on Twitter, Ash1138. See you around the next time. Bye.